Hey guys, so here's the situation. I recorded an entire episode and it sounded like absolute shit because I bought these new microphones and I went, oh, let me try them out, and it turns out they're awful and so bad and I don't know what I'm doing with them. And so I tried to get through it, but then I edited the whole thing, listened back and was like, great, amazing, this sounds fucking awful. And so now it is 4:30 p.m. on Friday. I like to post these on Fridays, I don't know why. I want to dye my hair brown. I don't know why. We'll get into it. I have somehow managed to scratch part of my eye. So my eye's really fucked up. And then I also managed to scratch my elbow with my ring. And so I'm this close to doing something drastic. This is the fucking mic setup because I'm gonna be dyeing my hair while I do this. I don't know what this is going to be, but this is the intro. I just need to see if this sounds good because I'm so fucking paranoid. And then we'll get on with the show. But I just needed to make a preface if that's what we're going into. I did take my meds today, but somehow I fear that the speed I took is making this whole situation just a little bit worse. And I kind of wish I was unmedicated because I think I'd be a bit more like, hey guys, it's fine. And I'm not like that right now. I'm actually kind of mad and I'm upset. And I can't see out of this fucking eye. So... And this is the kind of person you want to see dyeing their hair. Let me check this and then we will get into the show. I'm back. I feel 2% less crazy, but I still feel a little bit crazy. Welcome to episode 3 of No Worries If Not. Again, technically episode 5. Because there was the lost episode where I just was miserable. And now there's the entire episode that I edited that sounds awful. I'm really holding myself accountable though. I'm staying with it. It's fine, guys. Everything's fine. It's not that deep. There's literally no one putting this pressure on myself apart from me. And I need to keep reminding myself that. Where did I just put the gloves? So yeah, I am going to be dyeing my hair brown while we do this. Let's talk about it. I think as humans, something that we've experienced, especially in the past few years, is when we need to feel something, usually the first thing we do is some sort of change to our appearance. Whether that's a tattoo, a new wardrobe, or for people like me, dyeing our hair. I'm not doing anything crazy. I've been many a colour. In 2020, I went bleach blonde during COVID. Also, please ignore the eye. There's nothing I can do. It feels like there's something in it all the time. And so, guys, this might be the worst I've ever looked. And so I was blonde, and then I went half ginger, half blonde, and then I can't see. Guys, so we're going to be feeling really bad. We're not doing well mentally. That's what I'll say. I'm dyeing my hair. And you might be going, Tabsy, having a mental breakdown, but don't you worry, we're going brown. My natural colour is brown. As I was saying, I went half ginger, half blonde, and then I went all ginger. And then I've gone brown a couple of times since going all ginger, but I have kind of been stuck with ginger. I've been told by many people. I mean, it's not even in this lighting, it doesn't look that ginger. So it's not, my brother naturally is orange. His hair is literally orange. And so, I've got ginger in my family, mostly on my dad's side. And so I feel like I have the complexion for ginger hair. But naturally I'm a brunette. And I thought, hey, when you're feeling crazy, maybe let's ground ourselves by going back to our roots. Literally. I don't know if that phrase comes from hair. Does that phrase come from hair? It can't do. Going back to your roots? I thought it came from trees. But it could be going back to your roots. Has anyone spoken about this? Am I the first? Yeah, we're not doing the best mentally, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna look varying ways. I'm gonna look crazy in varying ways as this goes on. And also I am gonna move away from the mic a couple of times. Also there's a mirror here. So if you see me looking over here, it's so I can actually see what I'm doing. This is maybe a terrible idea, but I'm on a fucking time crunch at this point. So yeah, I have just had a really weird time in the past few weeks. I've obviously started doing this podcast, which has been, it doesn't feel like a big deal, but it also like does feel like a big deal to me, which is a really weird thing to say. I should probably read the instructions. Okay, hopefully this noise isn't really annoying. I've started doing this podcast, and something about it, I've always known that I wanted to be like a entertainer in some way or form. I obviously like landed on acting in my like life. I studied musical theatre and performing arts because I also sang. I love singing, it's just not what I want to do full time, and so then that's why I kind of landed on acting and was like, oh, I want to do acting. And I think it's always kind of come down to I just love telling stories, and I love being a part of any sort of storytelling process. Pause. And so I've not really been able to do... Whoa! Oh my god. Oh, the smell hits you immediately, doesn't it? I've really not been in a position to do anything in that realm now for a few years, because I dropped out of uni and then I had to get a job and start working full time, and then the next thing I knew I was like doing really well at my job and rising in the ranks, and then I turned around like midway through half year and went, wait a minute, this doesn't feel like survival mode anymore, this feels like a job that I'm like doing. And so that was a weird realization. And so then I, obviously in the new year, I mentioned in episode 1, was like, oh, I want to start, no going back. I want to start doing stuff for myself, and I want to start creating again. And so I started doing this podcast, and it's been really, really fucking fun. And it has, as I said in this episode that I deleted, which does sound gross, but it really does sum it up. It's touched a part of my brain that hasn't been touched in a while. Disgusting, get your mind out the fucking gutter, but that's what's going on. And in one sense, that's been like really nice and felt really rewarding and like freeing and exciting. In the other sense, it's completely opened up the floodgates, and I now just kind of feel sick all the time, because this is so fun and it's so cool, but like I just kind of want to do this all the time, and I want this to go well, and I want it to become something, but also I'm enjoying it just being for me, and like I don't really care if people watch it. And like, don't get me wrong, oh my god, Emily and Dan sent me a photo, my best friend and her boyfriend, who's also my friend. I felt weird to just say that he was her boyfriend. Dan, we are friends, I promise. You've been upgraded. You were also at my mum's wedding, so at this point I feel like, yeah, we're friends. Guys, this is maybe a really bad idea. And so I've been like, I don't know, I guess when did I start doing this? 2 weeks ago? I've just had this like pit in my stomach at like all times. And so that's been interesting. I think one really interesting thing that happened was the Golden Globes happened, which I don't feel like I've ever really like had to my memory, I don't remember having like a screaming interest in the Golden Globes, but like they happened and I took them personally. Like I was fuming. It was actually really unhealthy and quite insane behaviour, but I was like personally offended by them happening without me. Really weird behaviour. I can acknowledge that, because who the fuck am I? And like, here's why I wasn't there, because I've done absolutely nothing towards my career, which is non-existent, by the way. So that happened, which was like definitely a bit of a like whoa moment for me, because I was like, that's a really weird fucking reaction to have. And I definitely like immediately acknowledged, like, I think like this is going to be my version of doing storytelling. Obviously it's my stories and no one else's, but that's fine, and it's my little own platform, and it's not for anyone, and I'm not doing it for money, and it's not my job. Like this is barely a hobby. It's just something silly I'm doing. But by doing that, it's kind of made me think about everything I'm not doing. And it's fine. I'm still like, the thing I keep having to remind myself is like, I have a really good life, and I'm really, really lucky that like in the life I'm in and the world I'm in, like I'm really fortunate to have the people around me that I do that are so encouraging and so lovely and supportive. And I'm also really lucky that like with my job that I have, I love it. I love my job. I love my friends at work. I feel really supported at work, and I feel really stimulated at work and challenged by what I'm doing. But And if I wanted, I could keep doing it and going. And I've not figured it out yet. I've not figured it out yet. And I think that's fine. That's fine. Oh, also, the other day, I ended up going to get a drink with my friend Harley, who I don't know if Harley's watching these. If you are, Harley, hi babe. Love you. That's my man's. We ended up looking at Chinese... Whoa. I look crazy. We ended up looking at, like, the Chinese New Year horoscope, which I know nothing about. I know quite a bit about normal astrology because I had, like, a astrology phase, as we all do, at, like, 14, 15, and obviously consumed so much information, mainly about, like, personal placements, not really about, like, you know, I'm not one of those people that's like, the moon's doing this today, so don't go outside, which I think is what a lot of people assume us astrology girlies are like, but that's not me. I also don't know anything about houses. If you're seeing this, I'm like really talking surface level. I love a bit of a what's your moon, what's your Venus, what's your Mercury, that sort of thing. But yeah, we were looking at the Chinese New Year placements because I think I also mentioned in episode 1 that I kept seeing TikToks about like numerology, which I also know nothing about, and how they were saying it's a 1 year, which is like an important year because it's rare or something. I don't even really know. I probably should do more research into things before I start yapping about them, but that would be boring. I didn't know, guys. 2026, which actually a Chinese New Year doesn't start till February or something, but 2026 is Year of the Horse, and I was born in 2002, which is also Year of the Horse. So this quite literally, when I was saying, and this is before I knew this, when I was saying in episode 1, like, guys, I feel like this is my year, that wasn't technically a lie, because technically it legally is my year. The Chinese lunar calendar said so. It's the Year of the Fire Horse, and I'm also an Aries, so double whammy. Definitely just got it on my arm. Which is exciting, and I was reading into it, and it kind of lined up with the numerology girlies and what they were saying, and how this is a year of opening doors, year of new opportunities and stuff. And that also, I think, added to this feeling in my stomach, because then I was going, fuck, not only am I feeling like this, I also think I need to act on these things. I look awful. Which, while is like exciting, is also like so mind-numbingly scary, because what do you mean I don't have to do anything, but I feel as though now it's like, oh fuck, I need to start doing more for myself and actually exploring what it is I want to do. Can you tell I've done this before? I've done this multiple times. I did a fun little exercise in this video that I'm not going to post because the audio was dog shit, which was, I was talking about like dream jobs, dream like roles, and the first one I said was to be in something Star Wars related, which I actually, even on more reflection, couldn't agree more with. I think that would be so fun. I think it would be so fun. I think obviously when you're like an actor or a performer in any way, and I'm like definitely more of a film and TV girl. I love a good play, don't get me wrong, but there's something about the screen. There's something about the screen that just draws me in. What if I was actually like that? Maybe I should try it. Maybe that's the manifestation I need to do. There's something like, when you're an actor, of course you want to be in a franchise. Obviously you want to be in a franchise. And like, no hate to Marvel, like you guys are killing it. WandaVision slapped, and you've done some other good stuff I've heard, but that's just never been my game. I was raised in a Star Wars house, I think. That's what it felt like. Or maybe I was just raised by a nerd. I think that might be what it is. Star Wars is a thing. Star Wars was a thing in my life. I kind of grew up like, you know, I remember going to the cinema to watch the newest trilogy, which I know people hate. I know people hate the new trilogy. Oh my god, this is the second time I've brought up Star Wars. Maybe I'm more in Star Wars than I thought. I'm actually fucking doing this like a madman. The fumes of the dye plus my pink eye, not cute or fun. I think because the new trilogy was like the first Star Wars thing I watched as a conscious adult, I have such a soft spot for it. Also Rogue One, which kind of came out as I was an adult as well. Rogue One is like obviously one of the best Star Wars films ever made. I don't think that's really argued much. It's so good. It's also got that guy from Rizzle Kicks in it, and he went to my school, so maybe I could nepotism. No, I'd love to be in a Star Wars film. I think it'd just be so fun to like go to a desert in I don't know where and pretend it's a planet. That seems so fun. And like the stunts and the like the guns and the spaceships and the like world building. That just feels like such a good time. And also with Marvel, you know, in Star Wars there's the opportunity to do like to originate a character, whereas in Marvel a lot of the time you're going to be playing characters that already exist, and that's scary as fuck because usually that means there's like existing ideas of what that's going to be. I think this part of my hair is going to be where it starts to feel real. What else? Oh my god, Anastasia. A live action adaptation of Anastasia, that's the dream. And I said something which I want to repeat in again the last episode, which was I think we need to bring back songs for altos in these big movie musicals that are being made. And this is coming off the back of Wicked. And like, shout out, friends of the show, Wicked cast, Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. Those girls can sing, and they can sing high. And they be belting at the top of their range. And they're killing it. And power to them. That's a beautiful thing. What about us? What about everything we've been through? What about trust? I think there's an untapped market, and that untapped market is altos. If you start making songs for altos, you're bringing in a whole community, guys. I would just love the opportunity to sing something in an original key. That's what I'm saying, because yeah, I do be Googling, I'm not that girl, that is kind of an alto song. You know, No Good Deed, alto key, lower key. That's what I have to do. And you know, they make adaptations for us, and people out there, you know, there are people that are doing a lot for the alto community on YouTube. But what if it was already built for us, you know? And yes, this is all a marketing ploy for me to get the role of Anastasia in Anastasia, the musical. And I'm talking the musical adaptation. I mentioned again in episode 1 that I had an obsession with the musical Anastasia, which I think we all should explore. It's a wonderful musical. And don't get me wrong, that film is amazing. The animated film is amazing and really, really, really good. But in the musical, rather than the villain being like a wizardy guy with the bat, it's like a real Russian soldier, and it adds a like grit. No, worry, there's a dog just actually screaming. It adds like a real stakes to the musical that the film didn't have, because it's like this real man with a real gun who is out to kill her. And it's fucking incredible. Like, the Neva Flows from the musical is like just one of those songs that just won't, like, oh, that'll never get old. That shit slaps. Also, thanks to friends of the show, Heated Rivalry, I feel like we're bringing back Russia in a huge way at the moment. And so what if not a better time to bring back the Russian story of Anastasia Romanov, you know? And the Romanov family. But maybe, I don't know where Russia's at right now. I don't know if Russia's going to be wanting to talk about that. I've not really kept up with Russia because usually they're doing some crazy things. That kind of seems to be their vibe at the moment. Also, the fact I've managed to do my whole hair with one box of dye is concerning. Okay, I just quickly got the rest of that shit in my hair. Now we can set a timer and talk without annoying noises. So it is all over me. And, oh, hey, that's just part of the fun when you decide to dye your own hair. So, there's not much I can do about that. Anyway, I just think if we bring down the key in all the Anastasia songs, I'm talking Journeys to the Past, I'm talking Once Upon a December, you're going to bring in a whole community of people, and then also I can play the role. And I know I've just sat here and dyed my hair brown, but as you can see from previous episodes and all over my social media, I look great, ginger. This is a campaign. Get me in, put me in, coach. I'd be incredible. That's what I'll say. The other one I said, which I'm like, this maybe, I've never thought of this before, and then I thought of it yesterday and it blew my tiny little brain. We need to get Baz Luhrmann back in a big way to do more Romeo and Juliet-esque, modern day, but same script, same book, Shakespeare adaptations. And hi, nice to meet you. I'd love to be a producer and also play Helena in a Baz Luhrmann production of A Midsummer Night's Dream. Reasons I think I'd be good for the role, that's me, that's my twin. I am Helena. We did Midsummer at college, and my director at the time literally looked at me at one point in rehearsals and said, hey, so you know, like you, when you're like having one of those days where you're like really annoying? And I went, yeah. And he went, just do that. And I went, no worries at all. That I can fucking do. That's my girl. I love Helena. We are one. Oh my God, my neck is is brown. My eyes stopped hurting. You know, small wins. And I just think it would be so, like, I think Midsummer hasn't been utilised enough on screen. It's got everything. The cast is fucking huge. You have the mechanicals, which if you don't know Midsummer, there's kind of like 2, maybe 3 push stories happening at once that obviously all end up aligning. And there's the lovers, which is 2 boys, 2 girls, and there's like love potions involved and like love triangles and blah 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 blah, and then 2 of them are best friends. Classic. And then you have the mechanicals, who is like this bunch of like, they're kind of meant to just be like, it's like an amateur theatre group. A local amateur theatre group are putting on a play for the king and queen, or for someone's wedding. Maybe one of the lovers' weddings. I don't fucking remember. But they're like the comedy aspect, and then you have the romance aspect, but that romance aspect is comedy, and then the comedy aspect has romance. Come on to Tanya and Bottom. And I also think it's just, the casting wise, it's got so much like range, and I think it could be with the right cast, aka me, plus like an A-list group of people, it could be beautiful. And if you make it like bizarre, like Baz Luhrmann does, like a la Moulin Rouge. I'm not saying let's not make it like a pipe dream like Moulin Rouge. I should set a fucking timer. I just think that would be amazing, and I would like full credit, and I would like to be Helena. I'm not joking. That would be a dream. But also kind of anything that's like a Shakespeare modern day adaptation. Like, I'm saying bring back She's the Man, bring back 10 Things I Hate About You, and yes, I'd love to be in all of them. Thanks. That's another big one. And then also just kind of, I was thinking about this and doing this, and I also like, I watch Last Meals from Mythical, and obviously there's Hot Ones and that sort of thing. And I think I would love to one day be an interviewer in some sense. Like, I'd love to be able to sit down with people and talk to them, but in a way that's very like this, kind of like, I'd want it to be more personal. And I feel like that's definitely something that's happening. I think we're in a really interesting time when it comes to media, and we're moving away from like interviews being really surface level and shit to being more like, let's get to know these people, which there's positives and negatives to that, because parasocial relationships is a very real thing, and I think we're in a really interesting time. I look inside. I just think we're in a really interesting time with celebrity. Like, I think social media has made it a crazy thing. Like, there's parasocial, and then there's like whatever else is going on. And as I kind of touched on when I was talking about people like feeling entitled to information and things, I think that goes along with like people's personal lives, which I'm like, guys, leave these poor people alone. Like, I think a really good example of that is Friends of the Show, Heat and Rivalry. At least on the internet I'm on, people are going feral over these boys, as they should. They are incredible. They did something amazing with Heat and Rivalry, both the people who made the show and the people in the show. And it has become this like huge sensation. But people are being so insane with Hudson Williams and Connor Story, kind of specifically Hudson Williams. And this immediately sounds like I'm going to victim blame, and I want to make that so clear that I'm not. But I think the reason why people maybe feel more inclined to be the way that they are with Hudson Williams is because of how he is in media, which is crazy cuckoo in the best way possible, but in like such a charming way. I actually was thinking about this. I think we'd get on really well. And I know I've just been talking about parasocial stuff, but hear me the fuck out. I'm not saying I think I know that man and we're best friends. That's not what I'm saying. That's never going to be what I'm saying. What I'm saying is sometimes you see someone, and obviously that is a performance, like him on social media and interviews and red carpets, and like the versions we see of this man are not who he is at home. Like, that's just a crazy thing that a lot of people, I think, assume. But there has been people like his friends and people on the show being like, no, he is kind of like that. And, you know, this isn't who I am. I'm not talking like this with this pattern to my friends all the time. I do sometimes when I'm being a bit preachy. But usually I'm just like chatting and like, yeah, no, I'm just doing this. Like, I'm not going, oh my God, guys, and then this, and then this. And I think either our energies would match really well or that he would not like me. And this is something I think a lot. And obviously in the last episode, I was talking about the fact I'm incredibly self-centered. I think I'm quite sick. I think I'm quite cool. And I also said people might not like me and that's so fine. I'm adding him to the list of celebrities who I think we have similar energy and I think they're really cool and I think they're really good people, but I don't think they'd like me. The other huge one on that list, which I think about all the time and it does slightly break my heart, but I know it to be true, is Tyler, the Creator. I love Tyler, the Creator. I'm not going to get into it right now because I'll go on for hours. I love him. I love that he's a little bit bananas, crazy, kook, crazy. I love that he's like so unapologetically himself and funny and goofy and like doesn't take himself seriously while at the same time being one of the most incredible musicians in the world. And like some of his songs are like really dumb and really on the nose and really like satirical, and then some of his songs are like some of the most gut-wrenching lyrics you've ever read in your life. And his production and his musicality, and he's so smart. And I just think if somebody forced him to spend time with me, we could have some really good conversations. But I think if we were to meet organically, he would not give me the time of day. And that's okay. He doesn't owe me anything. Why would he? Especially as where I am right now, why would we? Why would we be friends? But you know when you just are like, you know, they say don't meet your heroes. It's not that I don't want to meet him because I think he's going to be horrible. I just don't think he's going to like me. I think the energy I bring to a room, he's going to be like, whoa, you're annoying as fuck. And that's okay. And I think there's something quite beautiful about the fact that I know that. But it is also like I will be avoiding that man. If I ever do make it and I'm like in the public sphere and in the celebrity sphere in any way, I will be maybe avoiding him. And again, not because I'm like, I can't meet it. I just don't want to find out. I don't want to find out because I think we could be friends if he gave me a chance, but I don't know why he would. Now with Connor's story and everything he's doing, and I think we do have really similar energies, and I think there is a world where we would get on really well, but I also think he might think I'm really annoying. And I am, but I'm a specific type of annoying, and to many people I've found in my life, it's very endearing, and I have lots of friends and lots of people who I've connected with really quickly, and people I haven't, and the people I haven't have taught me the people who I won't. And I think it might be Tyler, the Creator and Hudson Williams, which sucks, because those guys are so cool. I think also, while we're talking about friends of the show, Heated Rivalry, I think more people need to be talking about Hudson Williams' representation of neurodivergency. Neurodivergency? Is that the word? I should know that. That's like my whole thing. Neurodivergency? Neurodivergency. Wait. Neurodivergency. Neurodiversity. Not divergency. That's going to be really embarrassing. Hudson Williams' representation of neurodivergency. Hudson Williams' representation of neurodiversity. Thank the Lord, we got there in the end. But again, hey. In Heated Rivalry is so wonderful to see, and he has spoken out a few times and spoken about it. He came out and he said about what we have seen in media when it comes to autism representation in recent times, and you think about things like The Good Doctor, and I'm sure there's more, but that's the only one I can think of right now. and their representation of autism is 100% a representation of autism. It's not, at times it can feel like a caricature, it can feel like it's taking the piss, but also I have many neurodivergent people in my life that I know, and some of them, that is how they're how their autism presents, and it is accurate, but it is one representation, right? And it's quite a severe representation, like those sorts of things. As you know, there's been more research and more people talking about like autism. I have many friends who are autistic who are way more like how Hudson Williams played Shane fucking Hollander. And what I said to someone, I think I said it to my dad, what's really cool about the show is you could watch it and have absolutely no idea that he's autistic, which again, for a lot of the people I know and a lot of my friends, is their life experience. It's like you can just like see them and hang out with them, and you don't need to know that they're autistic. You just might be like, that was a little weird when they said that. Or, that was a little weird when they acted like that. And you don't really think anything of it. And if you do think something of it and you bring it up, they'll go, hey, by the way, I'm actually autistic. So it's so subtle. But as someone who's neurodivergent, who obviously we all band together, I know a lot of people, I watched it and went, I know you. I do. And he's also said that, I think he said his dad's got autism, and so that was something he channeled. But I just think it's such a refreshing thing to see. It's so refreshing to see it represented and done so beautifully in a new fucking way that isn't just people stammering and blinking hard, which again is definitely a portrayal of autism, but it's not like the only one. There's so many different kind of variations of that life. And as somebody with ADHD, hey, have I brought it up yet today? Probably about 15 times. There is a lot of crossover between ADHD and autism, and there were moments in that where I went, that's me as fuck. That's me as fuck. And that's really cool to see, because again, I think ADHD is a hard one to represent and to show, because I know people who are like me, who are like really energetic and really talkative and really chatty and really blah blah blah, who don't have ADHD, who just are like that. And I think ADHD, I actually remember I spoke to Georgia, one of my best friends, about this once, because she's got autism and ADHD and other things. And we were talking about how we were in a situation where both of us, we were in an enclosed space, and we both obviously have these different things that are going on in our minds. And we felt as though mine was much more palatable to the general public. Which this was my thing that I said this. Georgia didn't go, people are okay with you and they're not okay with me. I think autism can sometimes be more obvious, and people seem to feel more uncomfortable with it and more like they don't know what to do with it, which is like, I understand you don't want to do the wrong thing, but sometimes the wrong thing is making it really obvious that you don't know what you're doing. Just wanted to put that out there. Whereas ADHD can be a lot more palatable. It can be a lot more accepted, because the parts of ADHD that people see is the chatty, sociable, I mean, at least for me, like, again, I don't want to speak for the whole community, because ADHD represents itself in many different ways. I personally, if we're getting into the nitty-gritty of it, I have combined ADHD in the 97th percentile. Not everyone gets given percentile, but I was by my psychiatrist. And so I think I was like 98% hyperactive and 96% inattentive. So I'm like fully combined, but slightly more on the hyperactive side. And so my ADHD, and a lot of people's ADHD, does manifest in a way where they're just like I am right now, and high energy and fun and goofy and whatever. And the parts of ADHD that like suck balls are usually done in solitude and are usually in our heads and don't always play out externally. And so if you're like, oh yeah, I'm neurodivergent, I have ADHD, and you're just like a goofy goofer, everyone's like, oh, that's so fun, you're so fun at ADHD. Whereas autism can represent itself externally a lot more, and so people are more like off-put by it. And so I think it's hard to represent ADHD in media, because the parts of it that are like really tough are so internal and so individual, and so unless you're showing like the whole of somebody's life in a TV show, which you're not always doing, it can be really hard to like show it in its full form. And to kind of circle back, I also think that's why I've always wanted to do things like this, because I think I'm at a point with my ADHD where I have a really good grasp of it. I have a really strong understanding of how it manifests, of what it looks like, of what struggles I might face in a day-to-day. And I explained to someone once, I feel like you go through 3 phases of ADHD. You have when you get the diagnosis and you're like, I understand everything now. I'm like a superhuman. It's that whole thing of like ADHD isn't a disability, it's a superpower. I don't agree with that statement. And that might be controversial. Hear me out. I feel like when you first get diagnosed, you do very much have that thing of like, nothing actually is wrong with me. Like, it's not that something is like off, it's that I have this thing and I can do anything that I put my fucking mind to. And then you very quickly go into actually no, this is the worst thing ever. This is the worst thing ever, and I hate it and I hate everything about it and I never want to live with this again. Wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. And then you get to where I'm at. I'm somewhere in the middle. 100%. I think there are 100% parts of ADHD that are fine, that are so... Pause for sirens. What did you expect? I live in Brighton. There are parts of ADHD that are so... I wouldn't change for the world. I love how childlike I can be with certain things and how I can take things not so seriously. I also think it actually has really gifted me with the skill of compartmentalization. What a big word. As it was coming out my mouth, I was like, the word is still going. That's fucking crazy. Compartmentalization. Compartmentalizing. Yeah, that is the word. I really was doubting myself for a sec. How time? 4 minutes. And so I love those parts of it, and I love how sociable it makes me. I fucking love talking to people, and I love connecting with people, and I think that comes from ADHD. I have this weird confidence, again, awkward ass confidence, but it's confidence nonetheless. I can't speak English today. Should I do this in French? Je parle en français? No, I don't think that's a good idea either, because I don't really know how to speak much French. But at the same time, what people don't see is when I get triggered, a really good one being, I'm not very good at keeping my space clean. Don't look. And my mum, bless her angel heart, is. And so there has been times when my mum will come round and be like, hey, let me just give it a good tidy. And I don't know why, it sets something off in me, and I'm literally 12 years old on the floor crying, going, I'm useless. It's actually quite upsetting and dramatic and insane. And shout out to my mother, because she is one of our strongest soldiers, and I love her so much. I really do. And my mum is so wonderful and patient and amazing, and I couldn't have done anything in my life without her. Anyway, that's completely separate. Why do I want to cry? Mum, I love you. And there's also, like, you know, the overthinking and the exhaustion and all the executive dysfunction. Don't even fucking get me started on the executive dysfunction. And there's the fact that I have to take 40 milligrams of fucking methylphenidate every day in order to, like, function as a human. And I think, though, that part of ADHD people don't talk about enough. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about how it's really tough. And going back again to the beginning about, like, you know, wanting to do more and follow my dreams, one of the main things holding me back is my ADHD. Because 1, time management skills. Where are they? They don't exist. 2, executive dysfunction. Sometimes if I can't see sometimes I'm like, what's the fucking point? I want to stay in bed for longer. And then I lie in bed and think about the fact that I'm not doing anything, and I lose my fucking mind. And so, like, that also holds me back a big time. Like, just all those sort of things make it so much harder to do normal ass things. And I think we're getting there, and there's definitely more people talking about ADHD. Obviously, that's why there's been such an increase in diagnoses. It's not because people are making it up. It's because people are learning and people are going, wait a minute, that's me. I never knew about this. I wish people would stop being like, now everyone has ADHD. Yeah, probably. Honestly, probably most of us have something, and this world isn't built for us. How's it feel, guys? It's really cute and fun, isn't it? No worries. I think as much as I'm sure everyone is so sick of me talking about it, I think it's fucking important that we talk about it. And it's important that I come on here and start the podcast by going, guys, I want to actually... And now I'm here, hair dyeing, eyes fine, my elbow still hurts. And it's like, that is emotional regulation, guys. I was not doing a good job of it at the beginning of this episode. I was fuming. And now I've sat here and I'm like, oh my God, this is so much fucking better. This is so much better than whatever that shit was I filmed yesterday, where I was like kind of depressed and the mic sounded awful. And this is the life I live. You never know what you're going to get. You never know what you're going to wake up feeling like, and that's okay. And I've learned in my years of having ADHD that you just have to take it one day at a time. You do. You just have to, like, and not even one day at a fucking time, 1 hour at a time, because frankly that is how often my mood ebbs and flows and changes and grows. Why the fuck was I talking about that? I was talking about representation in media. I think it's a little bit more nuanced than other things. I still think, obviously, I'm not saying that, like, we've done autism, great, amazing. I think there's so much of autism that's untouched in terms of representation, but I think ADHD is a little bit harder to represent because it does just be like, oh my God, the golden retriever, like, excitable guy, that must be ADHD. And it's like, that is one aspect of it, and I would say that's the good aspect of it. But it's tough. I actually read a book the other day that had someone with ADHD in it, and it did feel like a really good representation. And there was like, I can't remember what book it was, but it had lots of, like, you know, speaking before thinking. Ah! So that was terrifying. It had a lot of, like, speaking before thinking and, like, that kind of thing, and then, like, saying something to just go along with everyone else and then immediately retracting the statement, which, like, that's true and real, that sort of thing. Anyway, I'm going to take a brief recess to wash this out, and then I'll dry it, and then I'm going to come straight back and we'll kind of wrap this up, and I'll figure out actually what I fucking spoke about. Kind of a whole lot of nothing, but hey, maybe that should have been what the podcast was called, a whole lot of nothing. Wait a minute. No, I'm not rebranding. I could though, it's episode 3, who gives a fuck? I'm back with much less aggressive lighting and brown hair. I feel really weird about it, and I thought I would. This is my natural colour. Like, this is, like, I think I've dyed my hair brown a few times from ginger, and I've never managed to get it this close to my natural colour. It's so weird how doing something like this can actually make you feel a certain type of way. I am speechless. I was so tentative about doing this because I was like, oh, I love being ginger, and, like, I've been ginger for a really long time, like, it feels a part of who I am now. But like we were talking about, doing this podcast and doing more for myself, I was like, let's see what happens if I go back to my roots. And let me tell you, I'm having many feelings. I think it's really beautiful. I think I look like my mum, which might set me off. God, how, it is such a somber note to end on. I really like it. I think I look like me. Guys, I didn't think I'd have such an emotional reaction to this. I thought this would be like a cute reveal, and it's become deep and meaningful. Fuck my Pisces Mercury, that's what I'll say. Let's wrap this up. First of all, I can't look at myself. Recommendation for the week is going to be Josh Johnson on YouTube. If you want to keep up with current events that are going on, both politically and also just socially, without, I don't know, wanting to die, I think Josh Johnson is an amazing tool in that sense. He is a comedian, really, really funny, but every single one of his sets that he does is very up to date on what's currently going on. They will all be about current happenings, and he uploads them all to YouTube for free, which doesn't get better than that. I think in this day and age, I can't look at myself. In this day and age, it's important that we are keeping up to date, but also I think it's important that we're not bumming ourselves out to a point where we're unhelpful. So I think he's a really wonderful guy. Great vibes all round. Also, what I'm going to say on the back of this moment, let's all think about baby us, right? Let's all try if it feels safe and comfortable, let's all try think about what we wanted to do as kids. I think this is a time in my life where I'm really going back a few years. I'm going back 5 or 6 years and addressing the wants of the person 5 or 6 years ago. I look incredible. No worries. I'm looking back on, little baby 18-year-old Tabs and what she wanted and what she thought her life was going to be. And I'm going, hey, let's try get back to that. If that's what you want. If you look back on 18-year-old you and think, girl, you were crazy, that's also your truth. But I think this week, let's maybe do a little self-reflection. Let's maybe go back to our roots. I feel crazy. I actually don't know how to do this anymore, so I'm going to have to go and call everyone I know and show them what I've done because I feel... Tell me whether you like it. Please comment whether you like the brown hair. I would say be brutally honest, but also tell me it looks great. Thanks. I did a really good job considering the way I was doing it. I say that, I can't see the back. Could just be fully orange. It doesn't look like it is. Guys, I'm brunette again. Okay, love you all. Have a good week. Take care of yourselves. Do something for yourself this week. Watch a Josh Johnson video if you have the time. Big love.